everyone, and welcome to another Wavelength Wednesdays. My name is Waveney. I'm your career coach, and every week I bring you tips and strategies that are geared towards connecting, inspiring, and influencing you to being the best in your job or career. So, we're still on the topic of career entanglements, and today I'll be speaking about how your communication can probably come across as either highly unprofessional or inappropriate and get you all the way entangled. But before I do that, I'd like to encourage you to hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed to my channel, and hit the notification bell so that you are aware when I release new videos and that you don't miss any. Alright, and if at any time during this episode you'd love to be coached by me, you can send me an email at hellowaveney@thepeople'sbrand.com. I would love to connect and coach you. Alright, so you ready to get on the same wavelength? So communication. Communication is one of those things that people are always complaining about, right? Not enough communication, too much communication, and there's so many issues and challenges, and also so many learnings around communication as well. And sometimes during the course of our career, we can get a little bit comfortable when it comes on our communication. For many of us, we were part of a team or we were in a group of peers, and we got promoted to a managerial post. And so for many of us, our communication style, I would hope, have changed and would have to change, because you will not be communicating, it will not be effective if you are still communicating on the same level, in the same way, if you've now been promoted amongst your peers. If you are still communicating that way, then you're probably going to notice that you could run into issues. And lots of the times, because we are comfortable, because these are our tribe, these are our people, we don't realize that there's an issue until something pops up. And so I want to speak about the first communication entanglement, which is giving feedback. So I want to tell you a little story about me. So when I was a young manager, I had a supervisor. We worked in the same department, and she'd come to me for advice. She'd said, I really want to know, how do I get to your level? How do I get to be a manager? How do I get to where you're at? And so I said to her, you're very talented. I highlighted all the things that she was great at. And then I said to her, but sometimes you could be a little bit of a bitch, which, sometimes she had an edge to her. There were things that she was doing, but that's not the point of the story. So we spoke, we talked through that, we spoke about things that she can do to make it better, and then she went away. I thought the conversation went great until I was sitting in my boss's office like a few weeks down the road at my rap session, and she says to me, Wave, you have to be careful about the language that you use. And I'm like, language that I use? I don't swear at people, language that I use. And so she brought up the incident. And so what the supervisor didn't tell her, what she told her was that I called her a bitch. She didn't give her any other information around that. Thankfully, I had a great leader who understood, and she just said, you have to be careful. And so I'm sharing this with you because I know sometimes we are comfortable around people. That was a great learning for me. We are comfortable around people. We feel as though we have that connection, we have that relationship where we can be very direct, very blunt, and very honest with them. And these also may be persons that are our friends, even outside of work. Maybe we were friends before, but because you're now in a leadership role, it's, we have to hold ourselves to a high standard. And so that was one lesson that I learned that day. And I am really careful when I give feedback to persons, even though I may have a great relationship with them, um, and you want to do the same thing as well. Okay, because you just never know when there's some persons that you can do that, and the outcome they would take it, right? But there are other persons that they're just waiting for that one wrong thing that you say to make a complaint. And so you want to just keep it on the straight and narrow. You just want to keep it at 100. You want to keep it all the way professional at work so that you don't end up with a surprise like I did. All right, so that's one way that you can get into a communication entanglement. The second way that you can get into communication entanglement is by making comments, or I don't want to say jokes, but comments or phrases, or in worst case scenario, jokes about somebody's race, about somebody's gender, about their sexuality, about their age. And so these things are not good things. They're not good things. This is how discrimination charges are filed. You open yourself up to so many things. You don't want to say that. Now, for some persons, you may grow up using a particular term or phrase. I remember, for example, let me give an example for those of you who've not grown up in the Caribbean or on my island, my federation. So growing up, there was a phrase that I will not repeat that we used to describe homosexual persons, and it was normal, and it was normal. Nobody thought anything of it. It wasn't discriminatory to us. The persons, it didn't seem, it just didn't. We grew up in that environment. But then you realize that this is not a good term. And so there are phrases for many persons who grew up in the Caribbean and different Caribbean islands. You may have a term or a phrase that you use to describe certain groups and classes of people that may seem normal and accepted. But you want to be very careful with that, because in this age of discrimination and all those types of things, and looking back then, it's another time, it's another era. What was accepted then is not accepted now. And I don't want anybody to walk away with the idea that I am justifying anything. I'm just saying that sometimes growing up, there are certain things that you say that may not seem racially charged, but know that you're an adult, know that you're in a work environment with a diverse group. It's not a good thing to say, right? So you want to be careful of that. You want to check your company's handbook to make sure that you are not breaking any rules or laws. You want to right now diversity and inclusion trainings are huge now, and for a big reason. And so you want to take advantage of learning about things of this nature so that you don't cross the line, especially as a young manager, as somebody coming up in their career. You just want to make sure that you are saying the right thing, or even if it's not you, maybe it's somebody on your team. Lots of people migrate from the Caribbean to the US and Canada and the UK, and maybe somebody's on your team said something and it's like, what? And so you are able to address things of that nature. And so we have to be careful about the phrases and so forth that we use, okay, to describe different classes of people. And then the third communication entanglement we can fall into is, and this is an extreme case, is sexually charged jokes. And so we don't want to, which is no joke. So those things are highly inappropriate. They don't belong at work. It doesn't matter if that's the culture you met, if you are a new leader or you're part of that team, you want to just stamp it out. You want to raise your hand and you want to say that this is not acceptable. You want to say that you're not comfortable, and because these things have lasting consequences. And I know of places that these things happen. People just say things and it's okay. It is not okay. It is not okay. You want to stay away from anything sexual in nature at work. Jokes, memes, um, pictures. Some people think that maybe, pictures, it is it. No. Jokes or making comments about, other persons in a sexual way. I know it seems like, oh, she has to spell that out. Yes, because some people still don't get it, or sometimes they are saying and doing things that they don't realize. But anything sexual in nature, the answer is absolutely not, because you open yourself to sexual discrimination, not sexual discrimination, I'm sorry, sexual harassment suits. You open the company to that, as well as your reputation, and you make people feel uncomfortable. Lots of the times, people don't speak up, people don't say that they're uncomfortable about things unless something else happens, or there's an investigation, or a situation happens and they'll say yes, but I didn't want to say not anything because other people were like, so I just kept quiet, or I was afraid. And you don't want to do that. So if you're a new leader and these things are happening under your charge, you need to stamp this out. All right, and so these are just 3 very easy, these are ways in which that you can get entangled by communication. It may not be you saying it, but it may be people under your charge who are doing it, and it is your responsibility as a leader, as a manager, to stamp that out, to stop it, because we're not about that at the People's Brand. And so if you love to be coached by me, if there's anything that you need assistance with, you're a new manager, and you need confidence and clarity around your role, please send me an email at hellowaveney@thepeople'sbrand.com, and I'd love to work with you. Until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.